Hello again, my name's John. I'm a retired cook from the northeast of England in the UK, and welcome to another one of my video recipes. And in this one I'll show you how to make a wonderful winter warming beef stew in your slow cooker. A very easy and delicious meal that anyone can make. On a cold winter day and served piping hot with crusty bread, this is true old-fashioned comfort food that the whole family will enjoy. You can see the ingredients list and full written method for this recipe on the recipe page on the channel's website. And the link to that page and lots more is in the description box under the video. Just find and click on the word more, and that'll give you access to all the relative links for this video, including our website store products. Okay, let's get on with today's recipe. Before I start the recipe, I'll show you my 3 crock-pots or slow cookers. I use this large one for family meals. It also holds quite a large chicken or other joints of meat. This medium-sized one is very handy for stews and casseroles for up to 4 to 6 people. But for this video I'll demonstrate the stew in my small slow cooker, which is perfect for my wife and I. And by the way, I'm not being sponsored by this company. These were bought and paid for with my own money. For the beef in this recipe, you can choose one of the cheaper cuts of stewing beef that require longer cooking times, like chuck, skirt or shin. However, one of our local supermarkets have a great deal on lean roasting joints this Christmas that are less than half the normal price, so that's a no-brainer for this recipe. Okay, using a very sharp knife, cut your beef into quite large chunks. Don't worry if your beef isn't as lean as this one. Any fats that's in yours will render down and melt away in the long cooking process, and probably will add lots more flavour to the finished stew. Right, over to the stove, as we need to seal the meat. So get a large frying pan or wok onto a high heat and add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil to the pan. Once hot, start adding the meat to the pan. But do this a little at a time. Try not to overcrowd the pan, or it'll end up boiling and not frying. Now, if I was cooking this stew in the oven, I would normally coat the meat in flour first, and that'll help thicken the stew. But cooking floured meat in a slow cooker, the gravy tends to thicken and stick to the sides and the bottom of the slow cooker, probably due to the long cooking time and lack of stirring. So I strongly recommend unfloured meat for slow cookers. I will be thickening the stew at the end of the cooking time. Right, that's all the meat in the pan, and I'll let that cook for a few minutes while I get the already prepared veg into the pot. First, get your slow cooker plugged in and onto a high setting. And to save you doing it, I've weighed out each of the veggies for this 2.5 litre pot. The 5 vegetables I've chosen for this recipe is swede or turnip, or you may know it as rutabaga, ordinary white onion, leeks and carrots, and baby or miniature potatoes with the skins on. But obviously you can choose a combination of the vegetables that you like. Let me know in the comments what your favourite vegetables are. Once your veg is in the pot, you can now add the beef stock. I'm using natural beef stock, but there's nothing wrong with using 2 or 3 beef stock cubes in this recipe. And the next ingredient is optional, and that's a glass of red wine. This does give the finished stew a wonderful flavour. Now you can add a couple of bay leaves. Another herb you could use is a little fresh or dried thyme. That goes very well with beef stew. The last ingredient that I like to add is a heaped tablespoon of tomato paste. Tomato paste always goes well with any beef stock dish, especially beef stew. Okay, the beef is now sealed and time to add it to the pot. Now, you may have noticed that I used hot beef stock in this recipe, so this stew will take approximately 3 hours to cook. But if you want to time it for, let's say, 4 to 5 hours, use cold stock. Once the beef's in the pot, give it a gentle mix. And a very quick mention to the channel's Patreon members and supporters. I'll be giving the latest list a shout out a little later in the video. All that's left to do is to season the stew, but season it the way you like it. Salt and black pepper for me. Other flavours you can add is white pepper, or a dash of Worcester sauce is very nice too, but I'm keeping mine nice and simple. Right, get the lid on the pot and let it come to a simmer. And depending on the temperature of the stock that you started with, that could take anywhere from 20 minutes to 1 hour. Once the stew started simmering, turn it onto the low setting, and the stew will be cooked and ready to thicken in about 3 hours time. Also bear in mind that these can sometimes drip over the edge a little, especially if you've overfilled it. So, as a precaution, place it on a plate or a shallow tray. If you want to set it on a timer so it will be ready when you get home from work or shopping, leave it on the low setting and set your timer for it to cook for approximately 5 hours from cold. This particular one doesn't have a built-in timer, but my middle one, the white one, does. So when you get home from a busy day, you'll have a pot of piping hot stew ready to eat. It's all in the preparation. With Christmas approaching fast, here's a quick word about my 4 recipe books. These carefully designed books, with most recipes linked to the corresponding recipe on video via QR codes, make fantastic presents. So, to avoid the holiday rush, get your orders in early. The link for the books and all of the other equipment I used in my recipes are in the description box under the video. And thanks in advance for supporting the channel, guys. Right, it's now been going for 3 hours, so it's time to thicken the stew. And the aroma this stew's been kicking out all afternoon is absolutely amazing. First job is to test that the meat is cooked. And as you can see, mine's very tender. I'll just check one of the potatoes too, but usually if the meat's done, then you can pretty much guarantee the vegetables are cooked too. To thicken the stew, I like to use corn flour. You may know that as cornstarch. And in this container, I have 2 heaped teaspoons dissolved in 20 millilitres of cold water. I'll start by mixing in half at first. Now gently mix it in. It should start thickening almost immediately. It looks like mine needs it all. So in goes the rest of the corn flour mixture. Gently give it a good mix. In fact, it's more of a folding technique. If you spot any bay leaves, you can take those out now. They've done their job. Right, clean up the pot and get the lid on. Now let it rest for 5 minutes. And when I come back, we're going to have a taste. Okay, time to give this beautiful heartwarming beef stew a try. So, I grabbed myself a nice big bowl of it. And once again, the aroma is wonderful. And this is looking so mouth-wateringly good. Get plenty of that rich, thick gravy on too. This is looking so appetizing. And if you're having beef stew, you have to have a piece or two of homemade crusty bread. I'll show you how to make this fantastic crusty cob loaf very soon. I don't really know what to start with. I think I'll have a little veg first. Now for a piece of that succulent tender beef. Absolutely beautiful. And that red wine really comes through. I hope you give that a try. Now that is without a doubt one of the most irresistible and delicious winter warming meals you'll ever make. Amazing comfort food at its very best. A big thumbs up for this one, guys. And unbelievably easy to make. And as mentioned earlier in the video, here is the latest list of my Patreon, PayPal and Super Thank You button supporters. And they are Jason Whitcare, Willie K, Dermot Sloan, Kate Vavala, J McNeil, Malayli, Darrell Elder 1352, Jens K 3250 and OGD Higgins. And there's also one who wishes to remain anonymous. Thanks very much, guys. I really do appreciate all that you do in supporting the channel. Well, thank you again for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe by hitting the circle above. If you do subscribe, activate the bell icon next to the subscribe button on my channel page. and by doing that you'll be automatically notified every time I upload a new video. And in the meantime, here's a few of my other videos and playlists that you may want to watch. So until the next time, be safe in your kitchen and bye for now.